I feel like this angle looks like when you used to take selfies with your camera and your arm was always in the shot like this. Do people still do that with their iPhones? I'm not sure. Anyway, hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Karina from Diem Thrifts. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. And by us, I mean me and my clothes, obviously. But today's a great episode to join in on because I am introducing a new series I'm going to be doing on this channel. It's going to be called Diem Unfiltered. And in this series, I'm going to be chatting all things reselling, all things owning small business, all things being a mom boss, a boss babe, whatever you want to call it. I'm shooting it straight. I'm giving it to you raw. I might throw in an unpopular opinion or two, but I thought this would be a fun way to just hang out. So grab a cup of coffee and get your listings sorted so that you can throw me on while you're doing some work and we can just chat and hang out. I'll keep you company while you are working on your business. So for the first installation of Diem Unfiltered, I thought I'd start off a bit easy. I don't know if this is necessarily easy, but it's just a topic that is always in circulation in the reseller community, and it is, why are my sales so slow? What can I do when my sales are slow? How do I make consistent sales? That whole kind of umbrella of making sales online. Now, if you guys have watched some of my previous videos, I have admitted that I am not the best reseller. I don't want you guys coming to me thinking that I'm like an expert, because I have to admit that I really fell off of reselling in the last year because I opened up my brick and mortar, my priorities changed, and then my online reselling business kind of took a hit because of that. But I mean, totally understandable, right? Right? That's what I'm trying to justify in myself. That's the reason why my sales suck. Anyway, in the last couple months, I've been trying to get my Poshmark business back running, and I've tried a couple things. I've tried doing live sales. I've tried just listing consistently. I've tried listing on different platforms, and honestly, like, those are the main tips right now that I see people shooting out. Big resellers are saying all the same things that we've been saying, but I feel like when it really boils down to it, those tips aren't going to work for everybody. And I feel like the biggest thing that people aren't really paying attention to isn't how many times you're sharing your closet, or how many offers to likers you're sending out, how many live sales you're doing, but really it boils down to what is the inventory that you're selling. Why isn't it moving? What can you do to either get that inventory to move better, or maybe offload that inventory and buy new stuff in? I feel like in the past, my reselling business has been really focused on like trendy seasonal items that could potentially not be trendy in a couple months. So when I buy things to source and it doesn't sell right away, I'm left with these items that may or may not be in style, and then people don't want to buy them anymore. It took a lot of soul searching and a lot of looking inward for me to finally come to terms with the fact that, like, some of the things that I think would be good in my closet just aren't. They aren't on trend, they aren't in demand, and that's why I'm not making sales. And so I've had to do this a few times in my whole like span of being a reseller, but completely like offloading all of my inventory, or offloading all the trendier things. Maybe it's like a buy sell trade store, or sending out like mystery boxes, doing like crazy steep sales to get everything out so that I can start fresh. And I do this with obviously my cost of goods in mind. I make sure that I'm not losing any money. Sometimes I do, but you know what, it balances out. Maybe I paid $10 for 2 items, I sold one for 20, and this other one, I can lower my price for it because I already made my money back. I know that that's not a great way to think when it comes to reselling. Obviously you want to profit as much as you can, but when it comes down to it, if you have crappy inventory, you gotta think long term. I don't want to store all of this stuff and I need to get rid of it. In my consignment store, that's kind of what I'm doing too. I keep items on consignment for 90 days, and if those items don't sell in 90 days, the client can either have their items back or I will donate them, and it's totally up to the client Most times if they don't answer me, it just gets donated because I am not a storage place. I am not a place for you to just dump off clothing that you just don't want anymore. I'm only going to bring in items that I think will sell, and if they don't sell, then I'm getting rid of them. I'm not holding on to them. And I feel like I need to implement that same ideology in my reselling business, because I've had items in my storage, which is right behind here. I just hit it with this rack of clothes that I've had for like a year plus, and I really shouldn't be holding on to inventory for that long because trends come and go, and something that was trendy a year ago probably isn't trendy anymore. Now, to combat this, to stay away from trendy items and to make sure that your closet is focused on items that could be sold a year from now, I mean, honestly, I don't see why you should, but that's a personal opinion. You may or may not agree with what I have to say, but I just don't think that you should have inventory in your closet for a year. I think that that's way too long. But if that is your market and you are fine with holding on to things for a longer lifespan, I feel like you really need to take into consideration your profit margin, and not just the percentage of profit that you're going to be making, but like dollar wise. Like, is it really worth it to keep something in my inventory and only make $20 off of it if it's sitting for a year? Because I don't know if you guys have ever tried selling on Amazon, but if you sell on Amazon and you send your items into an Amazon warehouse for them to store it until it sells, you pay for every single month or every day, every week. I honestly don't know what the timing is, but you pay for your item to sit in that warehouse until it sells. And I feel like you should kind of keep that same mentality in your own reselling business. I started out selling in a 1-bedroom apartment, and clothing was taking over my life. Thankfully, I have my storefront now. I have a back office where I get to keep all my stuff, but space is still very valuable, and it's really important to make sure that you are maximizing all of that space, taking account for it, and making sure that you're not wasting anything. Because I could have this one piece of item that's sitting for a year, but maybe in that year, if I had bought something else, I could have replaced that with like 5 other items and made money on top of that, and made money already, made a profit already. But anyway, going kind of back to, is it worth it with the profit margin? Obviously the opposite of, you know, finding trendy items is finding classic pieces, maybe pieces like luxury or designer pieces that will definitely sell for like in the hundreds, possibly thousands. I don't know. I'm not quite there yet. I'm still kind of scared to make that leap into luxury, just because I don't really have any luxury things myself. I don't know enough about it, and I know all I would have to do is like watch some YouTube videos and follow different resellers who are focused on luxury and designer to gain that knowledge. But while I'm in this kind of like intermediate period, this like in between of trendy and designer, I'm still trying to be picky about what I'm selling. Yes, I am dabbling more into the higher end pieces. However, I'm not completely letting go of my bread and butter. I'm not completely letting go of just like thrifting. But when I am out thrifting, I'm trying to pay attention to how much I'm profiting and how much time it's going to take for this item to sell. I don't mind profiting $20 on an item if I know it's going to sell in under a week. But if I'm going to pay up for something and it might sit for a little while, I'm going to make sure that it's something that I can profit at least $50 to $100, maybe more for. This is all just kind of how I've been shifting my business, especially with the amount of inventory that I get in from consignment. That takes up a lot of my time. So if I am spending time to photograph, to list, to cross list, or to sell online, I have to make sure that it is meeting my profit margin goals, and also not something that's going to sit for a long time and require me to kind of just have my money on hold. I'm not here for storage. I'm not a bank. I am just trying to get the money rolling and stay in circulation. I want it to come in fast, and I want to spend it fast because I love to shop, and that's just how it is. But anyway, I have been trying my hardest to stay consistent as well, because once I fall off my consistent schedule of like listing a certain amount of items a day, sharing my closet a certain amount of items a day, shipping my sales regularly, I totally notice a drop in sales. And I feel like the reseller community pushes a lot on being consistent, hustling. You see the face that I make when I say that word? I just don't like that word. Like grinding. Yes, to an extent. I feel like those words have gotten really negative connotations to them just because it focuses on this idea that like you don't have feelings and that you don't have a life, that you don't have dependents that you are responsible for, that you don't have other things outside of your business that matter or that deserve your time, including yourself care, including your self health. And so yes, it's important to hustle, but kind of like I think it's really important to stay consistent. And for me, consistency is listing like 5 items a day. That seems so little compared to a lot of the other bigger resellers that I see. However, for me, that's what works because I know myself. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what I'm not going to want to do. And I know that that's something that is realistically achievable for the place that I'm at in my life. So my consistency level of 5 items a day is very, very different than somebody whose consistency level is 20 items a day, or even like doing a live show every 2 weeks. I fell under the trap of believing that live sales were like easy, but they are not. There's a lot of back-end work that needs to be put into it, and I know a lot of resellers who have shifted solely to live selling that don't really list consistently anymore. So that's just an example of how like my version of consistency is different from somebody else's version of consistency. But just because I'm not doing live sales weekly or whatever, it doesn't mean that I'm not hustling for my business. All this to say, I want you guys to take a look at the way that you're running your business, the way that your life around your business is functioning as well, and just see what is your bare minimum. What is the minimum obligation that you have to give to your business to keep it consistent that works for you? But mine is trying. I'm not always this way, but this is what I'm aiming for. 5 listings a day, and then sharing my closet at least 3 times a day. So whenever you find out what your bare minimum is, then see what you can automate to make sure that those things actually happen. I use Poshmark VA, which is a Chrome extension. I have it on my Apple computer and on my laptop, and so whenever I am busy, I just make sure that my computer is running. I have times scheduled for my closet to be shared, and that just automatically happens. I don't have to press anything. I don't have to worry about it. I know that it's gonna work. It even sends out offers to likers like 5 minutes after somebody likes something. So that's another thing that I don't even have to think about. It just happens, and my bare minimum gets done even though I'm not actively doing it. To go like a whole other step into automation, I feel like you could also like hire a virtual assistant. Denali from El Ducho Thrift has a whole course on how to hire a VA. I've taken it. I love it. But you could just go on Upwork. You can find somebody on there who is familiar with your platforms that you sell on. You can use them to cross-list, to edit your photos, to write descriptions, to do a whole bunch of things. I'm not going to get into that here because, like I said, Denali has a whole course on it, and I would highly recommend. I have taken it. I paid for it. It was wonderful. I don't have a code for it, but if you guys... actually, I do have a code for it. I forgot. If you guys download my reseller toolkit, it is a free ebook with all of my favorite reseller tools in it. It has a discount code in there, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's in there. But yeah, there are so many ways to stay automated in that sense so that you can stay consistent. But automation is also great, so you can spend more of your time focusing on making sure that the inventory that you are bringing into your closet is something that's going to sell in a timely manner for the right amount of money. I feel like I went and started at one subject and like totally shifted into another, but they're all really connected. The whole idea here is sales and just like why sales are slow. Anyway, I'm gonna grab my coffee really quick because I need a tiny little coffee break. I got this cup off of Amazon. I think I asked you guys on Instagram to help me vote for which one, and I absolutely love this. The only thing I will say is it doesn't keep my coffee as warm as my Yeti, but it's so cute. It is so much cuter than my Yeti. I have a Yeti tumbler that I got from Poshfest, and it is like the definition of chuggy because it has the Poshmark logo on it, and so I'm like low-key embarrassed to bring it out and about because I don't want to be that girl, but it keeps my coffee warm unlike this. So maybe I just need to find like something in the middle, something that's cute and that also keeps my coffee warm. So if you guys have any recommendations for some coffee tumblers, leave them in the comments below. Anyway, I hope that all of this is making sense. Part of me wanted to make this video as kind of like a take my own advice kind of thing, because I recently went through a lot of my inventory and noticed that they just weren't good. So other ways that I am like offloading my inventory is, one, putting it in my consignment store, which I know is kind of weird. I feel like I have to make this disclaimer all the time, but I live in a small town in the Pacific Northwest, about an hour and a half east of Portland, and there aren't very many places to shop. I mean this in the most loving way, but a lot of the people here, their fashion trends are like 2 seasons ago, or like they're just a little late on the trends, and that's totally okay. But then that kind of gives me a chance to sell these like nicer things that I had for Poshmark in my store, and everyone's happy. Another way that I offload inventory is taking them to like buy sell trade stores, and in that way I can kind of like recycle my money, because I will take the items, I will see what they can buy, and then I'll take the credit versus the cash. And then I will source for better items, hopefully things that will sell. So technically I'm not like losing money, I'm just like reinvesting it into better, nicer pieces. I just like to have my inventory circulating and getting new stuff in and trying out different styles and different brands. If you are somebody who like doesn't want to get rid of your inventory, but you just want to like uplift your closet or change things up, you can always try changing your photos, like retaking your photos in a different way. You could try just changing your descriptions or your titles, adding keywords, just SEOing the F up of your description. And these are all things too that you can hire like a VA to do. You might have to train them first, but then you can kind of get them rolling so you don't have to worry about it, and you can focus on other parts of your business. Sometimes you have to take yourself out of the position of being the seller and put yourself in the customer's shoes. Like if you are looking at your closet as a buyer, would you buy the items that are in your closet? Are the prices right? Do the photos look good? Is the description describing the product accurately? Are you sending offers to likers? Are your prices like intriguing enough? And I feel like once you can remove yourself from your business in that way, kind of take the emotion out. I feel like we get a lot of like pent up anger or bitterness or pettiness as sellers sometimes. Just taking all of that out and putting yourself in the actual shoes of a buyer. If you would not buy the things in your closet, if you think your stuff is overpriced, if you think that you're not sending out good enough offers, then you really need to reevaluate what you're doing and kind of formulate a new business plan. And that's super easy. Easier said than done for sure, but we work with clothes, or like most of you guys probably work with women's clothes. The fashion industry is always changing, and therefore trends are always going in and out, and because of that, reselling changes a lot too. You have to be okay with the fact that something that worked for you even a month ago isn't going to work for you now. I was actually doing a consultation with a local reseller who is just starting out on her reselling journey, and she wanted to kind of up level her business. She was just talking about how she wasn't sure if Poshmark was like the right platform for her because things could change, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, things are always going to change on any platform that you're on, and it's kind of just inevitable. You can't let yourself get frustrated. I mean, you can totally 100%, your feelings are valid, but you have to also suck it up and get used to it. If it's really bad, yes, people will push back and try to ask for change, but like for example, live selling on Poshmark, I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. So if you're being frustrated about it and you like are anti-live sales, that's fine, but like maybe it's time to move to a new platform. Maybe it's time to try something else out. Okay, I'm sorry, I just had a customer come in, so I had to stop recording and I completely forgot what I was just talking about. But I think I was talking about learning how to be flexible and just rolling with the changes that come with the platform, rolling with the changes that happen with what's trending, rolling with the changes that happen with different comps. Something that could have really good comps at the time that you buy it could absolutely blow up or crash and burn in a matter of weeks, and you just kind of have to learn how to roll with it. Somebody came into my store the other day and told me that she was also like a reseller, but it was a very like hobby for her. She was saying how reselling is a gamble. And I really didn't like the way that she said that. This could also just be like childhood trauma because I come from a family of gamblers, and so I just don't like looking at my business like it's a gamble. But I get what she was saying. I get that you don't always know if something's going to sell well. I try to do as much research as I can before I buy something so that I know what's trending and so that I know how it will perform. But at the end of the day, things could change and you don't really know. But anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. How does this all relate to why your sales are slow? Did you adjust your business when you saw things maybe going downhill? Did you see that things weren't working out the same way that they were and adjust something? If not, then that also might be a reason why. I guess, like, as much as I want to say it's just your inventory, like your inventory is crappy, that's not always true. I know that that's not always true. Life happens, things happen, but did you make adjustments, or are you just sitting there complaining? I used to hop onto my Instagram stories so many times and just absolutely complain about a problematic customer, or about an open case, about how my sales are slow, just about all of these things. And I would just complain. And then I realized that I was wasting so much time complaining, and I literally was just expelling all of this negative energy that didn't need to happen. It didn't need to be there. It didn't need to be around me. And then I would just be in like this bad mood for the rest of the day. I wouldn't want to change anything because I would get stubborn. And I'm learning now, I still like catch myself complaining about things, or like turning on my stories to complain about something, and I'll like stop myself and just be like, instead of me complaining about this, could I just fix it? Or could I just do something else? Could I just ignore it? Probably. And then I will just go on to something else. Now that has taken me like years of practicing and trying to like stop the negativity in my head before it happens. But it's helped a lot, actually. I feel like I don't let things affect me as much because I'm learning that it's not that big of a deal. Like in the big picture, a return is not a big deal. Or in the big picture, somebody sending me a bad comment, like saying something negative on one of my reels or one of my videos, it's like the tiniest little issue, and it's easy for me to just get over it. I have to tell myself that. It's not always easy, but I have to tell myself that it is, so that I will eventually believe it and just like move on with my life. I have no idea what I'm talking about at this point. I feel like it started right here, it went over here, it went down here, it went down here, it went down here. But that's why I'm calling this Per Diem Unfiltered, because I'm literally just starting with a topic and seeing where it takes me, and seeing what my brain decides to tell you guys. Maybe this is all information that you needed to hear, which I really hope that it is. I hope that you gain something from this. I definitely gained something from this. I really need to like start taking my own advice and listen to the things that I am telling you, because a lot of these things too are things that I wasn't planning on saying any of this, but maybe like my subconscious is making me say this so that I will listen to it as well. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Let me know if you like it, if you like this idea. If you guys have any topics that you want me to talk about, leave them in the comments, or you can send me a DM on Instagram too if you have any questions. I'm also here to chat, but I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye! Thank you.